How's it going, guys, and welcome back to BL3's Forgotten, the series where I take a look at underused and not often talked about pieces of gear to determine whether or not they deserve to be remembered within the modern meta of the game or should be left behind and forgotten. And today we are taking a look at the Zheitsev's Eruption. If you'd like to farm the Zheitsevs for yourself, first you're going to want to make sure that you are on Mayhem 4 or above, as this gun's drop is limited to those levels. But after that, fast travel over to the Slaughter Shaft on Pandora and get slaughtering, because you do have to make it to round 5 before Titan will spawn who can drop you the Zheitsevs. But if you are farming it, you don't need to start all the way over each and every time, because after killing Titan you can either die or just fast travel back to the Slaughter Shaft fast travel station, which, as long as you have not fully completed round 5, will end the round in a failure but let you start back at wave 1 of round 5. You do still have to make your way back to wave 5, but it is definitely time saving. Along with that, again, as long as you're on Mayhem 4 or above, the Zheitsev's Eruption can also drop from Valkyrie Squad and Wotan in Molly 1 Takedown, though at a much lower drop chance. The Zheitsev's Eruption is a legendary COV assault rifle, able to roll in any of the elements and having 1 to 2 projectiles per shot for 1 to 2 ammo cost per shot respectively. The unique effect of the Zheitsevs is that when it overheats, it will launch out 8 homing projectiles that will deal splash damage on impact with an enemy. Along with dealing damage, these projectiles will also debuff enemies, with the debuff making enemies take 20% damage from all sources for 6 seconds. This debuff can stack up to 10 times on a single enemy for a 200% damage bonus. Now, as many of you already know, the Zheitsevs is definitely not forgotten because it is probably the single best utility gun in the entirety of BL3. But as I've done with other utility guns, today we're going to take a look at the Zheitsev's Eruption as a gun and actually use it as a gun. For those potentially unaware, sorry console players, you can spam the emote button while it's overheating to cancel out the repair animation, which lets you just spam out those projectiles and debuff everything around you without ever even having to use the gun as a gun itself. Now, while I could utilize this to get better performance and just higher consistency out of this gun, I will not be doing that, and instead we will just be looking at this gun as it would perform in just general gameplay. And in doing so, I learned that the Zheitsev's Eruption is actually pretty damn good damage-wise, even before the debuff effect is in play. It isn't anything super spectacular, but it is definitely a really solid legendary and could easily run you through probably just about anything. But that good damage aside, the Zheitsev's is fucking clunky, which is interesting to say about a gun that has next to no recoil, but here we are. The Eruption breaks often, which makes sense for the unique effect, but really doesn't do it any favors when it comes to trying to use it as a gun, especially when you encounter this weird double cast thing I found when using it with Zane and Amara. I did only encounter it with these two, but my assumption is that it has to do with reload speed. If you have too much, you finish your reload before it's done erupting, and when you go to fire it again, it'll make you go through the repair all over again. Now, that does include the projectiles that come with it, which is kind of nice, but not so much when I'm trying to not just use it as a debuff machine and actually kill things with it. Again, this is my assumption as to how it works. If anyone knows exactly what's happening here, I would love to hear that down in the comments, but it was incredibly annoying to deal with while recording for this video. Now, comparing the ×1 and ×2, both actually did pretty damn good damage, with the ×2 being noticeably better. However, with the ×2, the ammo consumption was also incredibly noticeable, along with the smaller mag and increased heat per shot, making itself especially apparent with how much more I entered Fight for Your Life while using it. It is a little bit difficult to fire back at enemies when I'm repairing more than I'm firing, especially when I was dealing with that double cast. ×2 is a good shooter, but I would say ×1 is more effective overall. Now, where the Zheitsevs did start to show its limitation was with True Guardian Takedown, where it fell off pretty hard. It was still able to kill, but it was pretty damn slow without a good couple of stacks of the debuff on an enemy. And even then, it was still suffering from all of the previously mentioned issues. Overall, the Zheitsev's is one of the single best guns in the game, but not at all for its shooting ability. While it can output some good damage, it simply sucks as a shooter for the reasons that let it be as effective as it is on the job that it was made for, debuffing enemies. Obviously, you're gonna be keeping one of these in your backpack, but it really isn't worth pulling out for anything other than debuffing. That's gonna about do it for this one though. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, definitely consider leaving a like, comment, subscribe, all of that. I'll be live right after this video goes up, right here on YouTube and also over on my Twitch channel, where there will be a link to down in the description below, and just under that is a link to my Discord server where you can come and join and hang out. But with that all being said, I hope to see you guys in the next one.